The remnants of Earth hung suspended in the void, a stark reminder of the Galactic Council's devastating judgment upon humanity. Captain Lyra Carrion, standing on the bridge of her ship, the Reclaimer, gazed at the desolate planet. 3,000 years, she muttered, her voice filled with a mix of venom and determination. 3,000 years, and not even the gods could stop us from coming back. Her first mate, Dex, leaned closer, eyes wide with anticipation. "Are the others in position?" he asked, matching her intensity. Lyra's lips curled into a fierce grin. "Oh, they're ready. Let's light this up and show those bastards what happens when you try to wipe us off the map. Engage the cloak and set a course for the Council's stronghold. It's time for some payback." On Earth's final day, the skies had burned as dawn broke. No one suspected it would be the last sunrise the planet would ever see. The Galactic Council, in their merciless judgment, had deemed humanity a threat too great to leave unchecked. The assault was swift and devastating. Major cities were vaporized within moments, forests turned to ash, oceans boiled, and the air thickened with smoke and screams. Earth's defenders made a desperate last stand, but it was futile. The planet's history, achievements, and dreams were reduced to cosmic dust. Yet, among the scattered survivors, a legend was born. Whispered in hushed tones and encoded in escaping ships' databanks, the legend spoke of a prophecy. The descendants of Earth would one day return to reclaim their home and restore what was lost. In a distant outpost on the edge of the Andromeda Galaxy, Captain Lyra Carrion stood before an ancient artifact that had ignited the flames of retribution in humanity's hearts. The relic, a tarnished bronze plaque engraved with the coordinates of Earth, was more than a piece of history. It was a summons, a call to arms that had traversed the void of space and time. 3,000 years, Lyra whispered, her voice thick with resolve. 3,000 years, and today we answer the call. Around her, the crew of the Reclaimer prepared for the journey back to the Milky Way. Engineers calibrated the engines, soldiers checked their weapons, and each movement was precise and purposeful. "We're really going through with this, huh?" muttered Dex, his gaze lingering on the plaque. Lyra's eyes steeled. "It's our right, Dex. They took everything from us. Their debt is overdue, and we're here to collect." Preparations continued at a frenetic pace. Lyra oversaw the loading of supplies, her mind racing with strategies and contingencies. Every scenario had been meticulously planned, from stealth insertions to full-scale assaults. The Reclaimer was not just a ship, it was an avenger crafted from the remnants of a dozen scrapped fleets, stealthy and deadly. As the final checks were completed, Lyra addressed her crew in the hangar. "Today, we set course for the Milky Way, not just as survivors, but as reclaimers of our destiny. The Council thinks they've seen the last of us. They think wrong. We're going to show them what happens when you corner a wounded animal." Cheers broke out among the crew, their morale boosted by her fiery words. They were ready, each person united by a common goal: vengeance and the reclaiming of their stolen future. Lyra returned to the bridge, the weight of leadership resting firmly on her shoulders. She plotted their course to the Milky Way, each coordinate a step closer to their ancestral home and the looming confrontation. As the Reclaimer powered up, ready to tear through the fabric of space, Lyra took one last look at the plaque, then secured it in her quarters. This relic would be returned to Earth, a symbol of their resilience and unyielding spirit. "Engage the engines, Dex. Let's make those bastards regret the day they ever heard of Earth," she commanded, her voice a mix of ice and fire. With a silent nod, Dex initiated the launch sequence. The ship hummed to life, the powerful engines vibrating through the hull as they prepared to jump to hyperspace. The Reclaimer cut through the void of space, its engines a dull roar against the backdrop of the cosmos. Captain Lyra Carrion stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the star-studded blackness ahead, her mind working through the battle plans that lay unfolded on the navigation table. The first strike. "We're approaching the first checkpoint," Dex announced, his eyes on the radar. "Looks quiet, Too quiet. Lyra nodded, her lips pressed into a thin line. Quiet or not, keep the cloaks on and sensors at max. I don't want any surprises. The Reclaimer was the spearhead of the Shadow Fleet, designed for stealth and equipped with the latest in cloaking technology. Its mission was clear: to stabilize the Galactic Council's outer defenses before the main human forces arrived. Signal the others, Lyra ordered. It's time to light the first fire. Within minutes, the rest of the Shadow Fleet, a collection of similarly cloaked ships, converged on their position. They were a motley crew, but each ship was packed with the best tech humanity could salvage and invent. Their target was a massive communications hub orbiting a gas giant, a nerve center for the Council's operations in this sector. On my mark, Lyra said, her voice steady over the comm system, reaching every captain in the fleet. 3, 2, 1. Execute. The fleet sprang into action with precise coordination. The ships decloaked simultaneously, unleashing a barrage of EMP missiles at the hub. The missiles streaked across space, bright comets against the dark, before colliding with their target. The explosion was silent but brilliant, a flare of light followed by the immediate dimming of the station's lights. Direct hit, Dex confirmed, a grin breaking across his face. Communication lines are down. Lyra allowed herself a brief smile, then turned back to the console. Good. Move to Phase 2. Jam any distress signals. We can't afford to have company. As the fleet worked to establish a jamming perimeter, Lyra contacted the ground team, a special ops unit trained for this very moment. You're clear for insertion. Take control of the hub. I want their data and their security protocols. The ground team's acknowledgement was crisp and professional. They deployed in sleek, stealthy shuttles, making their way to the compromised hub. Once inside, they moved with practiced efficiency, securing key areas and extracting valuable information. Meanwhile, Lyra monitored the operation from the bridge. How long until we can access their mainframe? She asked, her fingers drumming impatiently on the console. Should be any minute now, Dex replied, his eyes fixed on the live feed from the ground team. They're in. Excellent, Lyra said, her mind already racing ahead. As soon as we have what we need, set course for the next target. We need to keep the pressure on. The ground team worked quickly, downloading critical data and sabotaging the hub systems. Within minutes, they were back on the shuttles, heading for the Reclaimer. Mission accomplished, the team leader reported. We've got everything. Good work, Lyra said. Return to the ship. We've got more work to do. As the shuttles docked and the ground team reboarded, Lyra reviewed the data. It was a treasure trove of information, detailing the Council's defenses, fleet movements, and strategic outposts. This was exactly what they needed to gain the upper hand. Set a course for the next target, Lyra ordered. We're just getting started. The Reclaimer and the Shadow Fleet moved with purpose, hitting one Council outpost after another. Each strike was precise and devastating, leaving the Council scrambling to respond. Lyra's strategy was simple: keep them off balance, disrupt their communications, and weaken their defenses. By the time the main human fleet arrived, the Council would be in disarray. As the Reclaimer prepared for another jump, Lyra took a moment to reflect on their progress. They were making headway, but the real challenge lay ahead. The final confrontation with the Council would be the ultimate test of their resolve and ingenuity. We're ready for the jump, Dex reported, breaking her reverie. Engage, Lyra commanded, her eyes hardening with determination. Let's keep them on their toes. The Reclaimer surged forward, tearing through the fabric of space. Lyra knew they were in for a long fight, but she also knew they had the spirit and tenacity to see it through. This was more than a mission of vengeance. It was a fight for their future, a future they would reclaim with every ounce of their strength. The betrayal. As the Reclaimer and the Shadow Fleet continued their campaign, word of their actions began to spread through the galaxy. Whispers of humanity's return and their devastating strikes against the Galactic Council's outposts reached even the most distant corners of space. The Council, now fully aware of the threat, scrambled to fortify their defenses and counter the growing human resistance. Lyra knew it was only a matter of time before the Council would launch a counteroffensive. She gathered her senior officers in the briefing room to discuss their next move. "We've hit them hard and fast, but the element of surprise won't last forever," Lyra said, her tone serious. "We need to anticipate their next move and stay ahead of them." Suggestions. Dex leaned forward, his expression thoughtful. "We could use the data we've gathered to stage a false flag operation. Make them think we're targeting one of their critical installations, draw their fleet away, and then hit them where it really hurts." Lyra nodded. "Good idea. But we'll need to ensure our real target is significant enough to justify the risk. What do we have in the data about their core systems?" The Reclaimer's chief intelligence officer, Mira, tapped a few commands into her datapad and brought up a holographic display. "There's a main supply depot in the Epsilon sector. It's heavily fortified, but if we can take it out, it would cripple their logistical support for months." "Perfect," Lyra said, a fierce glint in her eye. "We'll plant false intel about an imminent attack on their primary fleet yards in the Gamma sector. That should draw their forces away from the depot. Mira, see to it that the fake intel is convincing. Dex, prepare the fleet for the operation." As her officers dispersed to carry out their tasks, Lyra couldn't shake a nagging feeling of unease. Something about their recent success seemed almost too easy, but she pushed the thought aside. There was no time for doubt. The Reclaimer and the Shadow Fleet executed their plan with precision. The false intel was leaked, and as expected, the Council diverted their fleet to the Gamma sector. With their main defenses weakened, the human forces launched a surprise attack on the supply depot. Explosions rocked the depot as the Reclaimer and its allies unleashed a relentless assault. The Council's forces, caught off guard, struggled to mount an effective defense. It seemed victory was within their grasp. But just as Lyra's confidence surged, a new contact appeared on their sensors, an entire Council battle group, emerging from hyperspace. "Impossible," Dex muttered, his face paling. "They shouldn't have been able to respond this quickly." Lyra's mind raced. "It's a trap. They knew we were coming." The Council ships began to encircle the human fleet, their superior numbers and firepower putting the Reclaimer at a severe disadvantage. Lyra quickly ordered a retreat, but the Council forces were relentless, pressing their attack. "All ships, evasive maneuvers." Lyra barked, her voice steady despite the chaos. "We need to regroup and break through their lines." The battle raged, with the Reclaimer's advanced stealth technology and tactical maneuvers barely keeping them from being overwhelmed. It was a desperate fight for survival. As they fought, Lyra received a priority communication from Mira. "Captain, I've intercepted a Council transmission. It seems we've been betrayed. Someone within our ranks leaked our plans." Rage flared in Lyra's eyes. "Find out who and how. But for now, we need to focus on getting out of here alive." The human fleet, battered but unbroken, managed to punch through a gap in the Council's formation. The Reclaimer led the way, its engines straining as they made a risky hyperspace jump to escape the trap. Once they were safely away, Lyra convened an emergency meeting with her senior staff. "We have a traitor among us," she said, her voice cold with anger. "Mira, any leads?" Mira nodded, her expression grim. "I traced the leak to one of our communication officers. He's in custody now." "Bring him here," Lyra ordered. Minutes later, the traitor, a young officer named Joran, was brought before them, his hands bound. He looked defiant, but there was fear in his eyes. "Why?" Lyra demanded. "Why betray your own people?" Joran sneered. "The Council promised me a future, a place of power in their new order. You can't win this war, Captain. Humanity is doomed." Lyra's jaw tightened. "You're wrong. Humanity will never be doomed as long as we have the will to fight. Take him to the brig." He'll face justice when this is over. As Joran was led away, Lyra turned back to her officers. This betrayal changes nothing. We adapt, we overcome. We'll hit the council even harder now. They won't see us coming. The crew's resolve hardened, and they redoubled their efforts. Plans were revised, security protocols tightened, and loyalty tested. Lyra knew the road ahead would be even more treacherous, but she was determined to see their mission through. With renewed vigor, the Reclaimers set course for their next target. The battle for humanity's future was far from over, and Lyra was ready to lead the charge. The Alliance. As the Reclaimer and the Shadow Fleet regrouped and repaired the damage from their recent engagement, Captain Lyra Carrion considered their next move. The betrayal had been a setback, but it had also revealed the Council's fear of humanity's return. They needed allies, and there was one potential source of support: the Zatheri, a powerful but reclusive alien race known for their advanced technology and strategic prowess. The Zatheri had remained neutral during the Council's reign, but Lyra believed they could be persuaded to join the fight. She set a course for Zathar Prime, their homeworld, and prepared for a delicate diplomatic mission. "Are you sure about this, Captain?" Dex asked as they approached the Zatheri system. "The Zatheri aren't known for their hospitality." "We don't have a choice," Lyra replied. "If we can gain their support, it could turn the tide of this war." As the Reclaimer entered orbit around Zathar Prime, they were met by a sleek Zatheri cruiser. "Human vessel, state your purpose," came the stern voice of the Zatheri commander over the comms. "This is Captain Lyra Carrion of the Reclaimer," she responded. "We seek an audience with your leaders to discuss an alliance against the Galactic Council." There was a pause, then the Zatheri commander replied, "Very well, Captain. You will be escorted to the surface. Any signs of aggression will be met with force." "Understood," Lyra said, nodding to Dex to follow their lead. The Reclaimer was guided to a landing platform on the surface of Zathar Prime. Lyra, accompanied by a small delegation, disembarked and was greeted by a group of Zatheri officials. Their leader, High Chancellor Tarek, was an imposing figure with an air of authority. "Welcome, Captain Carrion," Tarek said, his voice deep and resonant. "Your request for an audience is unusual. Why should we consider an alliance with humanity?" Lyra met his gaze steadily. "The Council is a threat to all free beings in the galaxy. They destroyed our homeworld, and they won't stop until they've crushed every form of resistance. We offer you a chance to stand with us, to fight for a future where no one lives under their tyranny." Tarek studied her for a moment before speaking. "Your resolve is admirable, but words alone are not enough. The Zatheri value strength and honor. Prove your worth, and we may consider your proposal." "What kind of proof do you require?" Lyra asked. "There is a contested system near our borders," Tarek explained. "The Council has been attempting to seize control of it for years. If you can drive them out and secure the system for us, it will demonstrate your capabilities and earn our respect." Lyra nodded. "We accept your challenge. Provide us with the details, and we will see it done." As they returned to the Reclaimer, Lyra briefed her crew on the mission. The contested system was heavily fortified, with multiple Council outposts and a significant fleet presence. It would be a difficult fight, but the potential alliance with the Zatheri was worth the risk. The Shadow Fleet prepared for battle, each ship ready for the upcoming conflict. Lyra knew that their success would hinge on precise coordination and unwavering determination. The Reclaimer led the charge into the contested system, its advanced stealth technology allowing them to strike the first blow. The initial attack caught the Council forces off guard, but they quickly regrouped and launched a counteroffensive. The battle was fierce, with both sides taking heavy losses. Lyra's strategic acumen and the skill of her crew were put to the test as they navigated the chaos of combat. Despite the odds, the human forces began to gain the upper hand, systematically dismantling the Council's defenses. After hours of intense fighting, the final Council outpost fell. The system was secured, and the surviving council ships retreated in disarray. Lyra breathed a sigh of relief as the Reclaimer sensors confirmed their victory. "Mission accomplished," Dex reported, his voice filled with pride. "We've secured the system." "Well done, everyone," Lyra said, her heart swelling with a mix of exhaustion and triumph. "Prepare to return to Zathar Prime. Let's show them what we've achieved." Back on Zathar Prime, Lyra and her delegation were once again received by High Chancellor Tarek. "You have done well, Captain Carrion," he said, his tone respectful. "Your actions have proven your strength and resolve. The Zathari will stand with humanity against the Galactic Council." The alliance was formalized, and the combined forces of humanity and the Zathari began to plan their next moves. With new allies and renewed determination, Lyra knew they had taken a crucial step towards reclaiming their future. The final push. With the Zathari now allied with humanity, the combined forces began preparing for a full-scale assault on the Galactic Council's core territories. Intelligence gathered from the previous missions, coupled with the Zathari's advanced technology, provided a strategic advantage that they could not afford to squander. Captain Lyra Carrion convened a war council aboard the Reclaimer. High Chancellor Tarek joined them via holographic projection, his imposing figure commanding respect even from a distance. "Our target is the Council's primary stronghold in the Sirius sector," Lyra began, highlighting the location on the holographic map. "This stronghold is the nerve center of their operations, heavily fortified and surrounded by a formidable fleet." Tarek nodded. "The Zathari will provide you with our latest cloaking technology and support ships. Our scientists have also developed a new type of EMP weapon that can disable even the most advanced Council systems." "Excellent," Lyra said. "We'll need every advantage we can get. Our plan is to use a two-pronged attack. The Shadow Fleet will create a diversion at the outer defenses, while a smaller elite force infiltrates the stronghold and disables their command center." Dex, standing beside Lyra, added, "Timing will be crucial. We need to coordinate our efforts to ensure the diversion draws enough attention away from the infiltration team." As the final details of the plan were hammered out, Lyra couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. This would be the culmination of their long struggle, a chance to strike a decisive blow against the Council. The fleet moved into position, the combined human and Zathari ships a formidable armada. The Reclaimer, leading the infiltration team, was equipped with the latest cloaking technology, rendering it nearly invisible to enemy sensors. As they approached the Sirius sector, the tension was palpable. Lyra addressed her crew one last time before the operation began. "We've come a long way and sacrificed much to get here. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for all those who have suffered under the Council's tyranny. Let's make every moment count." The Shadow Fleet initiated the diversion, launching a coordinated attack on the outer defenses. Explosions lit up the void as the Council's ships scrambled to respond. Meanwhile, the Reclaimer and the elite force slipped past the chaos, heading straight for the stronghold. Using the Zathari EMP weapon, they disabled the stronghold's primary defenses, allowing them to breach the perimeter. The infiltration team, led by Lyra and Dex, moved swiftly through the stronghold, encountering pockets of resistance, but pressing on with relentless determination. Their objective was the Central Command Center, where the Council's leadership coordinated their operations. As they approached, the resistance intensified, the corridors filled with the sounds of blaster fire and shouts of defiance. Finally, they'd reached the command center, breaching its heavily fortified doors. Inside, the Council's leaders stood in shocked silence, their arrogance and confidence shattered by the unexpected assault. "Your reign of terror ends today," Lyra declared, her voice echoing through the chamber. "Surrender, and perhaps you'll live to see a new era of peace." One of the Council leaders, a tall, imposing figure, sneered. "You think you've won? This is but a temporary setback. The Council's influence spans the galaxy." "Not anymore," Lyra replied, raising her blaster. "It's time for a new beginning." The final confrontation was swift and decisive. The council leaders, caught off guard and outmatched, fell one by one. With their command center secured, Lyra sent a signal to the rest of the fleet. The stronghold was theirs. As the dust settled, Lyra stood amidst the wreckage, the weight of their victory slowly sinking in. "We've done it," she said quietly, turning to Dex. "We've taken their heart." The news of their triumph spread quickly, igniting hope and celebration across the galaxy. The fall of the Council's stronghold marked the beginning of the end for their oppressive regime. With their leadership decimated and their forces in disarray, the Council's remaining outposts began to fall, one after another. Rebuilding. With the Galactic Council's stronghold destroyed and their leadership in disarray, the remnants of their forces surrendered or fled, leaving the galaxy in a state of tentative peace. But for Captain Lyra Carrion and her allies, the work was far from over. The task of rebuilding what had been lost and forging a new future lay ahead. Lyra and her crew returned to Earth, or what remained of it. The planet, though scared and desolate, held the promise of renewal. As they landed on the surface, the gravity of their achievement weighed heavily on them. The journey that had started with vengeance now turned towards hope and restoration. Standing on the shattered remnants of their ancestral home, Lyra addressed her crew and the gathered allies. "We fought for this moment, and now we must honor those who came before us by rebuilding. This is our chance to create a future free from tyranny." The first order of business was to establish a temporary base of operations. Engineers and scientists from both humanity and the Zathuri worked tirelessly to restore basic infrastructure. The process was slow, but every small victory brought them closer to their goal. Amidst the rebuilding efforts, Lyra received a message from High Chancellor Tarek. "Captain Carrion, the Zathuri have resources and technology that can aid in the restoration of Earth. We are committed to helping you rebuild." "Thank you, Chancellor," Lyra replied. "Your support means everything to us. Together, we can create a new beginning." As weeks turned into months, the signs of progress became more apparent. Ruins were cleared, habitats were constructed, and the first crops were planted in centuries. The collaboration between humans and Zathuri proved to be a powerful force for positive change. Dex, now Lyra's trusted advisor, approached her one evening as they stood overlooking the budding settlement. "We're making real progress, Captain. It feels like we're finally turning the page." Lyra smiled, the weight of leadership lightened by the sight of their efforts bearing fruit. "We are, Dex. But we must remain vigilant. The scars of the past run deep, and there are still challenges ahead." One of those challenges came in the form of integrating the diverse populations of refugees and survivors who had scattered across the galaxy. Many had lived under different conditions, with varying customs and traditions. Lyra and her team worked tirelessly to foster unity and cooperation, emphasizing the shared goal of rebuilding a better world. As the settlement grew, so did the sense of community. People began to see beyond their differences, united by the common cause of restoration and progress. The spirit of resilience that had driven them to reclaim their home now fueled their efforts to build a new society. One day, while visiting a newly established school, Lyra watched as children learned about Earth's history and the legacy of their ancestors. It was a poignant reminder of what they had fought for and what they stood to gain. "The future belongs to them," she said softly to Dex, who stood beside her. "We must ensure it's a future worth living." The months of hard work and dedication paid off as the settlement transformed into a thriving community. The collaboration with the Zathuri brought advanced technologies that accelerated their progress, from renewable energy sources to cutting-edge medical facilities. Lyra's leadership was instrumental in guiding this new society. Her vision of a world where humanity could flourish without fear of oppression inspired those around her. The scars of the past were still visible, but they were overshadowed by the promise of a brighter future. A new dawn. Years passed, and the once desolate Earth began to bloom again. The cities, though new and different, carried the spirit of the old world. The cooperation between humans and the Zathari had ushered in an era of unprecedented progress and innovation. Captain Lyra Carrion, now a revered figure, continued to lead with the same determination and vision that had seen them through the darkest times. The Council's defeat had not only liberated humanity, but had also sparked a movement for freedom across the galaxy. Formerly oppressed species and civilizations began to rise, inspired by Earth's resilience and determination. The Reclaimer, now a symbol of hope and defiance, had been transformed into a museum and research center, preserving the history of their struggle and the lessons learned. It served as a reminder of the cost of freedom and the importance of vigilance. Lyra, standing on a platform overlooking a vast, thriving city, addressed a gathering of citizens and allies. "We have come far, but our journey is not over. The galaxy is vast, and there are still those who suffer under tyranny. We must continue to stand for justice, to protect the innocent, and to build a future where freedom is a reality for all." Her words resonated deeply, sparking a renewed commitment to their cause. The alliance between humans and the Zathari, once formed out of necessity, had evolved into a true partnership based on mutual respect and shared goals. The new government of Earth, founded on principles of democracy and equality, worked closely with its allies to maintain peace and stability in the region. The lessons of the past had shaped their policies, ensuring that power was balanced and that the mistakes of the Council would not be repeated. As Lyra looked out over the city, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. They had not only reclaimed their home, but had also laid the foundation for a future where all could thrive. The journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but it had also been filled with moments of triumph and unity. The story of humanity's return to Earth and their fight for justice became a beacon of hope for generations to come. It was a story of resilience, determination, and the unbreakable spirit of those who refused to be defined by their past, but instead chose to forge a new destiny. As the sun set on another day of progress and promise, Lyra knew that their work was far from finished. But for the first time in a long while, she felt at peace, knowing that they were on the right path. The galaxy had changed, and so had they. Together, they had proven that no matter how dark the night, the dawn would always come, and with it, the endless possibilities of a new beginning.